What if a single sentence, spoken in a moment of candor behind closed doors, could ripple across continents and shake the very architecture of global security? Imagine waking up to explosive headlines. A former president of the United States allegedly threatened to bomb Moscow. Suddenly, the world holds its collective breath. Is this another act in the ever-unfolding drama of international politics? Or could it be the spark that ignites a crisis with consequences reaching far beyond the halls of power? To truly understand why these words have captured the world's attention, we must journey back through the intricate, often fraught history of United States-Russia relations. For nearly 8 decades, since the closing days of the Second World War, the relationship between Washington and Moscow has dictated the fate of entire regions, economies, and billions of lives. Every utterance, every handshake documented by cameras, each offhand comment caught by a stray microphone, is scrutinized for meaning. In this high-stakes geopolitical chess match, even a single phrase can shift the balance of power. The shadow of nuclear deterrence has loomed over both countries since the late 1940s. The mere existence of tens of thousands of nuclear warheads has enforced a kind of nervous caution. Yet history is littered with moments when the world teetered on the brink of catastrophe. During the Cuban Missile Crisis in October of 1962, a mixture of miscommunication, political brinkmanship, and reckless language brought the United States and the Soviet Union to within hours of nuclear war. It was only through secret back-channel deals, the sobering wisdom of leaders, and sheer luck that disaster was averted. The lesson from that harrowing episode? Words matter. Sometimes, they matter more than missiles or armies ever could. Fast forward to early July of the year 2025. In an already turbulent global environment, riven by trade disputes, technological competition, cyber attacks, and proxy conflicts, news breaks that Donald Trump, the controversial former president, was allegedly captured on a leaked audio recording making a stunning threat. Under certain circumstances, he would bomb Moscow. The media, already primed for drama, erupts in a frenzy of speculation. Is the audio authentic? What did Trump really say? And in what context? Who leaked this explosive material? And why now? The Kremlin's response is as enigmatic as a Russian winter's night. Dmitry Peskov, the Kremlin's seasoned spokesperson and master of diplomatic ambiguity, refuses to confirm or deny the recording's authenticity. Instead, he suggests that if such remarks were ever uttered, they likely predated Trump's presidency. This calculated vagueness leaves the world guessing, and perhaps that is the point. Why would Moscow opt for such opacity rather than outrage? Experts in international relations point to 2 main reasons. Courage. Any escalation in hostile rhetoric between the world's 2 largest nuclear powers immediately alarms global leaders, investors, and citizens alike. Second, Donald Trump's well-known penchant for theatricality makes it difficult to discern where performance ends and real policy begins. As one respected foreign policy scholar commented, with Trump, the line between showmanship and statecraft is paper thin. You never know when the curtain falls and the consequences begin. What is especially remarkable is the eerie silence from the usual chorus of global experts. Typically, when such a provocative statement surfaces, think tanks, policy institutes, and seasoned commentators rush to analyze every syllable. They debate, dissect, and fill hours of news coverage and pages of editorials. This time, however, reactions are muted, almost as if the world is collectively holding its breath, wary of adding fuel to an already smoldering fire. Is this a sign of strategic caution? Or does it hint at deeper, unspoken currents? Some analysts argue that this silence is deliberate, a tactical pause intended to avoid amplifying what might be mere political theater. In an era when rumors can move markets and shape public perception in mere minutes, restraint can be a powerful diplomatic tool. Others caution that failing to clarify or confront such rhetoric could set a dangerous precedent, normalizing reckless language in the highest echelons of global affairs. International law offers partial guidance. The doctrine of preemptive military strikes, also known as anticipatory self-defense, is only justified when there is a clear and imminent threat. This standard is rarely met, and Trump's alleged statement, even if genuine, does not appear to satisfy it. Yet Kremlin ambiguity and Western restraint suggest that the implications reach far beyond legal definitions. Both sides may be waiting for more facts, or quietly negotiating through back channels, far from the glare of publicity. This brings us to a pivotal question. Is the current silence a shield against unnecessary panic, or is it masking a far more complex diplomatic chess game? In international relations, what goes unsaid can be as significant as what is proclaimed aloud. The absence of condemnation, the lack of official statements, the refusal to escalate, all may serve as coded messages exchanged among world capitals. As days pass and uncertainty lingers, the world wonders, could this supposed threat, real or exaggerated, alter the trajectory of global power, or will it dissolve into the mists of history, another half-remembered episode in the long saga of American-Russian intrigue? All eyes now turn to the next moves from Washington and Moscow. Should the authenticity of the leaked audio be confirmed, world leaders will face a reckoning, not only with their approach to Donald Trump, but also with the entire spectrum of American diplomatic messaging. Some experts suggest this could herald a return to the high-wire brinkmanship of the Cold War era, when threats and counter-threats maintained a tense equilibrium. Others believe it may be dismissed as political performance, destined to recede as new crises capture public attention. Yet the ambiguity itself is a message, a signal of both danger and opportunity. For the Kremlin, this episode tests strategic patience. By refusing to react publicly, Russian officials may seek to downplay the threat, avoid escalation, or quietly pressure American policymakers behind closed doors. As one Western analyst recently observed, ambiguity serves both sides. It allows Russia to save face, while subtly reminding the United States that even offhand remarks can have seismic global consequences. In the United States, the silence from experts and officials likely reflects careful calculation. In a heated election year, every word is weighed for its potential political cost. There is genuine fear that even acknowledging the threat could inflame tensions, spark market volatility, or become fodder for partisan battles. Recent history demonstrates that loose rhetoric can trigger dangerous misunderstandings. Recall the confusion that contributed to the outbreak of the Korean War in the early 1950s, or the miscommunications that escalated the conflict in Syria in recent years. What lessons should we, as global citizens, draw from this episode? First, it is a potent reminder that international relations are rarely as simple as the headlines suggest. Diplomatic language is laden with nuance, and often, what is left unsaid speaks louder than official pronouncements. When reactions appear muted or ambiguous, it is usually because leaders are buying time to assess risks, consult allies, or negotiate discreetly. Second, this unfolding story highlights the enormous power and peril of information leaks in the digital age. In earlier times, secrets were guarded in locked safes and whispered in hushed corridors. Today, a single audio file, whether authentic or manipulated, can spark a chain reaction across continents. In a world dominated by social media and round-the-clock news, information spreads at breakneck speed, outpacing efforts to verify or contextualize it. As discerning viewers, we must ask, who benefits from this leak? What is the broader context? What are the possible ripple effects, both intended and unintended? Third, for those interested in economics and technology, this episode is a textbook study in how geopolitics can disrupt global markets. Even a rumor of conflict or a whiff of instability can send shockwaves through financial systems. In the hours following the story's emergence, investors reportedly shifted assets into traditional safe havens, gold, government bonds, and stable currencies. Oil prices became volatile as traders weighed the risk of an expanded conflict. From Europe to Asia, international partners began quietly reassessing their risk exposure. In today's tightly interconnected world, even the perception of instability can have very real economic consequences. Let us delve deeper into the economic dimensions. Over the past decade, the world has become a vast, intricate web of supply chains, stretching from the assembly lines of East Asia to the tech hubs of North America and the ports of Europe. The United States, as the largest economy, is a technological powerhouse whose innovations in areas like artificial intelligence, cloud computing, and green energy set the pace for global development. Russia, although smaller in economic terms, is a major supplier of oil, natural gas, and strategic minerals to both Europe and Asia. Any hint of conflict between these two giants can disrupt commodity markets, fracture supply chains, and rattle the confidence of investors worldwide. Consider what unfolded after the United States imposed sweeping sanctions on Russia in the wake of the Crimean annexation in the year 2014. Global energy prices soared, European nations scrambled to diversify energy sources, and multinational corporations reevaluated their presence in Russia. Both economies suffered, but the broader message was clear. Geopolitical shocks can unleash unpredictable, far-reaching consequences for businesses, consumers, and governments alike. Now, with the specter of a new crisis looming, Financial centers from London to Beijing are on high alert. Central banks are monitoring currency and bond markets for signs of stress. Multinational companies are reviewing risk management plans to prepare for possible cyber attacks, sanctions, or logistics breakdowns. Insurance firms are recalculating premiums, factoring in the possibility of political instability. Even ordinary people, from Berlin to Buenos Aires, experience the fallout as prices for fuel, food, and consumer electronics fluctuate in response to global uncertainty. But the impact is not confined to economics alone. The technological implications are profound. In our era, cyber warfare has emerged as a crucial arena of competition between nations. Both the United States and Russia boast formidable cyber capabilities, with histories of probing each other's defenses. If tensions escalate, experts warn that critical infrastructure, power grids, communications networks, financial systems could become targets. Over the past 10 years, both countries have accused each other of cyber intrusions, from election interference to ransomware attacks. A diplomatic crisis fueled by inflammatory rhetoric could trigger a digital conflict with real-world, potentially devastating consequences. Let us zoom out and consider the broader context. Why does a leaked audio recording, genuine or not, provoke such global anxiety? The answer lies in the psychology of international relations. Trust is the very currency of diplomacy. When leaders utter threats, especially dramatic, ambiguous ones, it erodes trust, breeds suspicion among adversaries, and sows anxiety among allies. The margin for error narrows. The potential for miscalculation rises. History is replete with examples in which misunderstanding, rather than malice, lit the fuse of war. Take, for instance, the tangled web of alliances and secret treaties that led to the outbreak of the First World War. A series of ambiguous statements, missed signals, and ill-timed mobilizations triggered a chain reaction that engulfed the globe. A century later, historians still debate which decisions and words sent the world over the edge. The lesson is sobering. In diplomacy, clarity and restraint can be matters of life and death. Closer to our own time, recall the Able Archer military exercise of 1983. Misinterpretations of training maneuvers nearly convinced Soviet leaders that a nuclear attack was imminent, prompting emergency alerts and frantic consultations. Only last-minute intelligence and cool heads prevented a tragic mistake. Once again, words and signals, spoken or unspoken, nearly changed the course of history. Returning to the present, what does the future hold? The answer depends on a complex web of factors. The credibility of the leaked audio, the willingness of leaders to engage in direct dialogue, the reaction of global markets, the influence of public opinion, and the strategies employed by both state and non-state actors. Some observers fear that this episode could signal a hardening of positions, ushering in a new era of confrontation reminiscent of the Cold War's most perilous days. Others hold out hope for renewed pragmatism, where negotiation and mutual interests prevail over drama and posturing. For now, the silence emanating from both Washington and Moscow is deafening. It is a silence born of calculation, not of apathy. Both sides understand that even the perception of escalation can spark chain reactions with devastating potential, not just for their own populations, but for the fragile stability of the entire world. Sometimes, the most powerful statement a leader can make is to say nothing at all. Here is a little-known but vital truth. Throughout modern history, some of the most consequential diplomatic breakthroughs were never announced in public. The secret negotiations that resolved the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962, the clandestine talks that led to the normalization of relations between the United States and China in the 1970s, these were conducted far from the cameras and press conferences. The decisions that matter most are often made in private, away from the glare of public scrutiny. This episode, whether it fades into obscurity or sparks concrete change, will likely be shaped by similar behind-the-scenes diplomacy. Leaders and advisors are undoubtedly weighing their options, seeking to avoid miscalculation while preserving their national interests. The world may never know the full story, but the stakes are, as always, extraordinarily high. So what can you do as a thoughtful, engaged global citizen? First, stay informed. Seek out reliable sources, question the headlines, and look for context beyond the clickbait. Second, understand that economics, technology, and politics are deeply intertwined. A diplomatic crisis in one corner of the world can alter the price of everyday goods, the security of your data, and even the trajectory of technological innovation. Third, Diversify your investments, remain flexible, and prepare for uncertainty. Because in a world where a single sentence can reshape markets and destinies, adaptability is your greatest asset. For those with a keen interest in technology, pay close attention to the evolving landscape of cybersecurity and information warfare. As competition between nations intensifies, the risks of cyber attacks, espionage, and misinformation campaigns will only grow. Protect your personal data, support robust privacy measures, and advocate for transparent governance in the digital realm. If you found this analysis thought-provoking, make sure to subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Do you believe this was merely political theater, or a sign of deeper changes in the global order? How should today's leaders respond to provocative rhetoric in the digital age? Your perspective matters and could shape the conversation to come. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and remember, in the world of global affairs, what you do not know can be just as important as what you do. We are here to help you cut through the noise,